Lovely black and white. Was that a particular kind of just an aesthetic thing, or was there?
It was just
like
Pinterest when it's quiet.
Right.
You gotta love Pinterest.
Now, by very, very nice coincidence, just about a week or two ago, I was talking to Anne across the road.
Yeah.
She's marking 10 years, and now you're marking 10 years.
Yeah.
And you told me something just before we started the camera about that.
Yes, I read recently somewhere, it was online something, that said that only 5% of businesses make it to 10 years. So
Wow.
I'm like, well, that's something to be proud of.
That's definitely something to think that, especially 10 years that involved COVID and involved like a for Greystones too, as much as we're held up as a beacon of like, oh, well, things are going well in Greystones, it might be okay everywhere else. Like, we've been hit by, such high rates, and there's a recession that's sort of, still there after the COVID. So it's pretty remarkable, really.
Yeah. We're definitely in a slump at the moment, so I'm hoping by next year we'll be back on track for and I think new businesses that got hit during COVID didn't have that history to know that they had the customers there who they could survive at the other end if they were taking on that kind of COVID debt.
It's having the foundation a bit that's deeper than, that you kind of rely on the foundations are going to keep you staying upright. And
exactly.
It is a time though that people are so aware of it, and yet, you're naturally sort of, as a customer, you sort of want to, be part of a happy day and a happy story. But there is a sort of, there's definitely an acknowledgement from people themselves of they're not quite sure exactly, is this a recession? Do I have to hold on to my money? Is what's going to happen?
Is it? Because technically it's not a recession and people are going on holidays and spending money. But But the reality is that there's less money around to spend. You have to look at the petrol prices are going up again this week. Energy costs, people have school bills and food bills, and the mortgages have gone up so much that people are nervous. So they're holding on to even their little bit of spare cash, just in case. So hopefully come the Christmas, they're saying the interest rates are going to come down a bit. So fingers crossed.
Simon will sort it all out. Simon knows what he's doing. Can you remember when you started out in Dunleary? And we may have touched upon this before, though. Was there any great kind of master plan? Was there any great sense of, this is what I'm going to do, the type of shop I'm going to do, how I'm going to be successful? I don't know whether it all just happens or... It
kind of, like a lot of people who started new businesses, it's because of where I was before, and then I wasn't happy with what I was doing. And so, it's always been an idea in the back of my head, so I decided to make the jump and take a chance. So, I went into Dunleary in a small little unit off a side street, and the landlord very kindly let me sign a 3-year lease, and I paid him up front for the 3 years, which was my choice, because I said, if this doesn't work, I still have rent to pay. So I thought if I can cover the rent, then everything else will be, settle out. So that really kind of made me a little more confident when I was starting out, that I had that kind of breathing room. So
and did you know early on that you'd made a good choice? I don't know whether that was a long time coming, that it took a while to find those foundations that you felt good about?
Yeah, well, I suppose I had worked in retail for a long time, so I always remember I felt slightly confident when my cousin, who's involved in marketing, and she has her marketing company, and she does sheep's milk yogurt, and so they've grown very successfully. But my mum was obviously having a panic attack at the time when I opened the shop, because I didn't tell anyone, and my cousin was obviously said, well, I'll go in and talk to her, because she used to do marketing for fashion shops, clothing shops.
She could sell it.
So she came in and she said, how are you doing? I said, well, I'm using my targets, and this is my target for now. And she goes, oh, you have targets? And I said, well, yeah, how else am I going to know? And she said, oh, I have businesses that I work with that are just kind of guessing as they go.
Right.
So I suppose that foundation in retail certainly helped, having some of those basics.
And of course then you had like a road to Damascus moment where you said, I think I might move to Greystones. Yes. That was a big leap. Was it a kind of a shot in the dark? Was it? It
was. My lease was it was expiring, and I knew I couldn't stay on a side street. It's location. Right. So, I've always liked coming out to Greystones. So I thought, well, it's more happening. So,
well, you have had like a kind of an effect where it seemed to be from the start you were fine. Like everybody seemed to, you had obviously got a fan base from Dunleary, but then it just seemed like you belonged here pretty quickly.
Yeah, I've never liked, when I did work in big retail, it was never for me. I've always liked that personal touch of, trying to help people, fixing things, finding solutions for them. So even back as far as Dunleary, and now even when people come and look for something that I don't have, I rack my brains for where they could find it. Because somebody might as well help them and benefit as well. Another shop can benefit, and there's that great sense of community, I think, in Greystones, that everyone does try and support each other, you know. So certainly that's how we all made it through COVID, you know. It was locals coming in and doing their bit, you know.
I was thinking about your very kind of wonderful cookie, you know, sweet stock. I don't know what that it feels like almost like a toy shop for adults, where there's just very kind of cool stuff that you'd want to have in your house just for the beauty of it, as opposed to I really need, you know, a particular thing. This is actually just going to be something this is going to make me happy. Was that something that was in you before that you sort of recognized? I love this kind of, you know. Probably.
I mean, growing up, I used to make fun of my sister because she liked fashion magazines, and I'm like, no, I like interior design magazines.
Hey.
And I said, you know, fashion magazines set you up for failure. You're never thin enough or pretty enough or young enough or.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if it was her or somebody else pointed out, well, it's kind of the same for home interiors, because you have to have a perfect home too, but I don't know, something cute about home interiors, and it's satisfying to see nice things. I love looking at
even like in a wooden shack, like if you have the right little bits of touches, you know, a flower in a vase can make all the difference to a room.
Yeah.
So that feeling of you know, you're saying, well, Christmas hopefully will kind of like naturally spark a huge amount. Ladies' Night is another good one. You seem like an optimistic person generally, so I would hope that you feel hitting the 10th year you're very confident, or...
Actually, generally, my philosophy is be a pessimist.
Okay.
Because a pessimist is never disappointed, only pleasantly surprised. So if you plan for that, you know, even before this year came, I said, we're going to go in for a bad year. There's no doubt about it. Business is going to drop. So you do get a little bit scared, and then you talk to other people and they say, well, we're down too. So, you know, at a rep in just a couple of weeks ago, he said, oh yeah, my whole area is down 20-30%.
Right.
It's like, okay, well, it's not me. I'm not doing anything wrong. It's just the market. Having said that, another one today told me his whole area is up 12%. I was like, I don't want to know that. You know, so I think there's that comfort when you talk to other people too, and they're having similar issues, that you know it's not that you're doing something wrong necessarily, is that it's that crest and wave that you go through in retail and in any business.
I was thinking now, between you and say the Happy Pair Twins, there's a lot of healthy people around, that maybe we could build something across the cliff walk, like zip wires and a little bit of rope bridges. And
well, your April Fool's thing, you know, I'm sorry, I've seen that done in other countries. That's
where I got the images,
was
and
not AI. I've seen it done where they will go out.
And I think there's somewhere in Ireland too has done it. So there's a few places, it's not like it's too far that. But I think people would love it. People would sort of feel it's an actual extra part of the view and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. There are those, you know, you see those glass bridges where they go out over water and things.
But even just a good old-fashioned proper bridge that circles out over, you know, the sea and back in, just in places that you get that safety away from any kind of rubble and any kind of potential. And
think Guinness ad. Do you remember the Guinness ad?
Which Guinness ad now?
That was the one where where is it? And everyone says it's actually disappointing in person. It's the rope bridge that goes across, and it was shaped like you know. Everyone said it was like the harp of the Guinness.
How come all your interviews always end up talking about drink?
I wouldn't mind, but I hardly ever drink anymore. I'm too old.
Jesus!
I'm at that age where a hangover is a hangover. You lose